Welcome to On-Ayer, everyone. I am your host, Ryan Ayers. Let's get right into it. We're going to do a college football rundown here, and I want to get to this trend. What's going on with these college football players that continually leave the ball short of the end line? I think it more reflects bad coaches. You should institute some type of policy or rule that tells your kid, if he's going in for a touchdown, hand the ball to an official or take it to the back of the end zone before you have to foolishly drop it off. Come on. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I get it to some extent. The kids are in the moment and, it's a breakaway score. How much longer do I have to go type of thing? But you should be able to see the pylon and just maybe drop that ball off when you see the colored back of the end zone. Again, the coaches need to get this together. We saw it this past weekend a couple times, once in the Cal-Texas game. Charlie Strong, he thinks his team possibly could have won a football game if it wasn't for the same issue at the end of that game. Ray McLeod last weekend in the Clemson game. And then Joe Mixon, who I don't think should be playing at all. That's a different story. Does the same exact thing in the Ohio State-Oklahoma game. So, come on. I mean, it's getting beyond pathetic and annoying to see this. And then for all you college football fans out there, you don't want it to have to happen to your guys or your team in a big moment later on in the year. Let's nip this in the bud and get it taken care of. We don't need to see this foolish stuff taking place in major Division 1A college football games. Next on the rundown, you remember we talked about earlier in the summer, the college football preview that I put out. Who's going to be that one guy that's going to just break away and from the pack and be that guy that no one really was, talking about throughout spring ball and into fall camp as a Heisman Trophy possibility, and that is this year's Lamar Jackson. Guy's phenomenal, and I've heard him be compared to Denard Robinson by local media where I'm based in the Midwest, and I almost wanted to fall over laughing before vomiting because Denard Robinson, what he did was basically just punt the football. This Lamar Jackson is the real deal. He's got deer-like legs and has a really good arm, and he's developing as an all-around quarterback. I expect to see him for sure in New York City, barring any craziness taking place the second half of the season. It's just a real joy to watch such a great athlete play the quarterback position. He's a lethal threat running and throwing. You got to check him out when you can. Now let's go to the coaching side of things. Kirk Ferentz did the ultimate thank you this past weekend after basically getting a lifetime contract from the University of Iowa. And with that, he goes out and loses to a 1AA team, or FCS, North Dakota State, 23-21. Are you kidding me? You just get the opportunity to stay and have the comfort of Iowa City, where you want to be for virtually the rest of your coaching career or life, and you go out and reward everybody, alumni, fans, with a loss. I know North Dakota State wins all those Division 1AA national championships, but 1AA is totally different than 1A or FBS. So he ought to basically give half of his salary back just for going out there. The University of Iowa pays North Dakota State $500,000 to come there and beat them. That is beyond embarrassing for Kirk and his team. He's been doing it for years, though. Iowa, there's not much further you can go or get another coach, really, to do as good of a job as he is, or mediocre if you want. So they have to live with that now, but that's just a awesome congratulations and thank you that he gave his university that just gave him a ton of money. The other side of the coaching industry, I was based in South Bend, Indiana, Saturday night. I went down and took in the top Midwest college game of the weekend, Michigan State visiting at Notre Dame. And Brian Kelly is as stubborn as they get. You would think by Monday morning it would be pink slip time for Brian Van Gorder. Time to get rid of, I would think, one of the worst, if not the worst, defensive coordinators in NCAA Division 1A football. But, like I said last week, prevent defense prevents you from winning. That's probably strategy number one when you go into being a college football coach. Strategy number 2, if you want to be successful, is to not hire your friends, because how are you ever going to fire them? This guy, Brian Kelly, doesn't see it. I think the fans see it. It's 36-7, halfway through the third quarter. It's time to get a new defensive coordinator at the University of Notre Dame. That's just my outsider's opinion. When Max Redfield, even though he was the guy that got unceremoniously kicked off the football team just a few weeks ago, says that Mandarin Chinese is easier to learn than Brian Van Gorder's defensive system, it's probably time for a change. But Brian Kelly is probably going to take this all the way till, in a few years, with his 8-4ville, maybe worse, he's going to be looking for or towards that buyout. And so I guess he's just going to stick with this terrible defensive unit and this Brian Van Gorder that dates back his relationship all the way to his Grand Valley State days. So, number 1, don't play prevent defense. And number 2, don't hire your friends. And with that, I want to let you know, you've just been on air, and I am Ryan Ayers.